So, ladies and gentlemen, this Forbes article actually isn't accurate, unfortunately. I'm going to dive into this today to kind of dispel some sort of box office myths, I guess. And normally, their reporting has been very good, actually, on the... Well, Forbes is reporting on Disney's budgets have been great, but they fundamentally lack an understanding when it comes to the box office gross and kind of what you need to turn a profit or even break even. So this article, which short some people will probably reference in future and go, yeah, but Forbes said this. Let's take a look at it. It says, why Disney's Snow White remake must gross $340 million. Now that is what they claim as their break-even point. It is not. It is not. And I will analyse this and I'll break it down for you all. Just so we're all on the same page, basically. So, Disney's upcoming live-action remake of its classic cartoon Snow White will have to gross at least $336.4 million to break even, according to an analysis of a recently released filings. Now, what they're referencing there is Companies House in the UK, where a lot of this was filmed, or essentially all of it was filmed. And they have to do that because then they will get a kickback from the British government. Taxpayer basically gives them a kickback. It's absurd. I hate it that we do this. It's very annoying, but whatever. So they say this, the film is not due to debut until March next year, but it has already been blasted by critics over the changes it makes to the 1937 classic, which won Walt Disney an honorary Oscar. The biggest bone of contention is the casting of the title role, which went to West Side Story actress Rachel Zegler, a Latina actress of Colombian descent. She has faced a racist backlash as the character in the original is portrayed as a Caucasian with skin as white as snow. It's not a racist backlash, it's an observation, observing reality in conjunction with a fairy tale story and stating categorically this does not align with the original's intention is not a racist backlash. It's merely observing reality. Reality is not racist. Zegler, 22, caused an outcry by telling Variety that in the remake Snow White is not going to be saved by the prince and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. I am going to literally disseminate the entire article, so sorry. We'll cover some stuff that you will know. I know this. In place of Prince Charming, American actor Andrew Burnett plays Jonathan, an entirely new character. Ansu Kabir stars alongside him as the huntsman, whilst Gal Gadot is the evil queen. Super ugly Gal Gadot, hey? Fucking hell. Anyway, the fundamental change to the story has disenchanted David Hand, whose father worked on the original with Walt Disney last month. He said that the duo would be turning in their graves as the original was made with good taste. True. He described it as a disgrace that Disney is trying to do something new with something that was such a great success. Even the seven dwarfs who accompany Snow White in the cartoon have been replaced with a band of diverse magical creatures. Leaked photos in July showed that the only actor with a form of dwarfism is American Martin Kleber, star of 2012 fantasy comedy Mirror Mirror. The photos were taken in the United Kingdom, and this shines a spotlight on the movie's cost as well as its cast. So here we go. The finances of films are usually a closely guarded secret, blah blah blah, expenses, blah blah blah. Movies filmed in the UK are an exception, and Snow White is one of them. It was shot just outside London at Pinewood Studios and on location across the UK. Productions made there benefit from the government's film tax relief scheme, which gives studios a cash reimbursement of up to 25% of the money they spend in the UK, provided it represents at least 10% of the movie's total cost. So in order to demonstrate this to the government, studios set up separate companies to make each movie, and they have to file financial statements. So the companies usually have code names, so they don't raise attention, and this was Disney's subsidiary Hidden Heart Productions, which filed it. So recently filed statements show that over the 3 years to July 31st, 2022, Disney spent $209.3 million on making the movie. The filings add that the colossal cost was partly driven by the pandemic, causing delays to the production of the motion picture. And the blockbuster spending benefits the UK studios use local services, blah, blah, blah. So, here's what was also revealed. So, the Disney received $41.1 million reimbursement, which puts it to $168.2 million. Now, they say this is baseline spending that the movie will need to cover. It costs are likely to rise sharply, as more than a year of post-production still had to be done after the date of the financial statements. So, The estimate of how much money the movie will need to gross to cover its baseline cost depends on how much the box office is received by studios. We can cover all of this, but basically, they go to say, overall it's understood that box office share paid to studios rises 55% domestically, whilst China is around half of that, about 43%. It's actually a lot less than that. The studios receive about 20% from China. It's like nothing. So you average, just do a 50-50 split, basically. And this is what they say. So if Disney retains around 50% of the takings from Snow White, the movie will need to gross $336.4 million just to cover its baseline spending of $168.2 million. And this is far from guaranteed. But it's also not true. So, as they allude to, and which I think is a fundamental lack of, well, oversight. I don't know why they didn't discuss this. So they literally say, this is the baseline spending that the movie will need to cover. Its costs are likely to rise sharply, as there is more than a year of post-production still to be done after the date of the financial statements. It's also really important to note that they are going back to the drawing board, and those magical creatures are now being CGI'd out by the looks of it. So this $168.2 million as a baseline, a year's post-production work to completely, essentially remove people that were never there, or were there and add people that were never there. This is huge sums of money that they're going to have to be done. And I think what annoys me about this Forbes article, and they do this fairly often, and they really need to sort it out, is that they don't factor in the marketing costs. Now, marketing costs for this movie will be huge. Mark my words, they're going to have to be huge, because they're going to have to run a pretty extensive campaign to mitigate the damage that Rachel Zegler had done to the film. So $168.2 million, and what they said was their total of $336.4 million to break even, is nowhere close. Nowhere close. You probably add on maybe another 50 million in VFX work easily on top of that, in post-production work. Maybe another $100 million for marketing, probably more, and I genuinely do believe it's probably going to be a bit more, simply because they will run an extensive campaign. This will be brutal on the public. This will be everywhere. I bet you anything. So this film, by and large, will probably have to break $500 million to start turning a profit. Easily. And even if you're not factoring like $100 million marketing budget, let's say it's chuck another $50 million on to the overall production budget, you're still looking at, what is that, 220 odd million dollars, so 440 odd million dollars to break even. Yeah, not good. Not good at all. But these kind of articles will persist, unfortunately. So yeah, this whole why Disney Snow White needs to gross $340 million is not accurate. It needs to gross significantly more than that. Yeah, and it's a bit unfortunate that this is sort of here doing the rounds. I mean, it's a bit old now, September 21st, 2023. But yeah, there you go. Significantly more. Significantly more than that.